Mama June. Pumpkin receives scary news about Josh's accident. Where are the kids? Sarah Kidway News, Mama June, Reality TV, July 21, 2025. Mama June star Lauren Efford is no longer married to Josh Efford, but she still co-parents her kids with her husband. The reality stars agreed to share responsibilities and maintain a good bond. Pumpkin has already moved on from her husband. She has been giving hints about dating someone new on the Family Crisis Season 7. However, the WeTV star appears to have received some bad news in the latest episode. Lauren rushed to the hospital after her ex-husband met with a scary accident. Hence, fans were quick to wonder whether the kids are safe. They are waiting to find out whether Josh is safe. What are the injuries he faced? What happened to him? Were the kids with him? Keep on reading to find out everything about the accident. Mama June. Pumpkin is dating Josh's cousin after separation. Pumpkin and Josh went their separate ways after the divorce. The latter wasn't ready to end ties with his wife. However, the Mama June star gave up when he couldn't find a reason to drag their marriage. Lauren started living her single life and focusing more on her new freedom. She was able to give more time to her business and her hobbies. The reality TV star shocked her fans when she opened up about dating someone related to her ex-husband. Pumpkin revealed she has someone new in life. She told her friend about the way he does things for her without even asking for it. But the reality TV star wasn't ready to break the news to Josh. Pumpkin finally revealed she was dating the latter's cousin. Although the duo was not blood-related, it would be awkward for them. Mama June. Pumpkin receives bad news about Josh. Pumpkin spends most of her time with her kids or her business. She also takes some time for herself and her hobbies. However, the reality TV celeb was in disbelief when she received bad news about her ex-husband. Recently, Pumpkin received a call from someone while she was in the middle of her duties at her boutique. She said, "What? What do you mean? Where are the kids?" Reality TV tours. Fans couldn't hear anything, but the concerning look on her face made it clear that someone was wrong. The Mama June celeb quickly rushed outside without revealing anything. The producers asked what really happened. They wanted to know if everything was okay. Pumpkin explained, "Josh just wrecked his truck. He's in the medical facility." Hence, she had to rush to meet him without revealing the kids' whereabouts. The WeTV star wasn't in a state to explain anything or express her emotions. The look on Lauren's face terrified fans. They wondered whether the kids were also with their dad. Hopefully, Josh was alone when his car overturned during an accident. TV season and spoilers reported his accident last year, and he wasn't with his children at the time. Fans are now waiting to learn more about Josh's injuries. They wanted to know if it was a serious accident. Pumpkin might have divorced Josh, but she explained to her fans last year that her ex is still a dad to her kids. So, she won't ever want to watch him in any trouble. Keep coming back to TV season and spoilers for more updates on Josh's accident. Chaos has erupted once again in the world of the Mama June family after Pumpkin, the strong-willed daughter who has spent years holding the Shannon clan together, reportedly received terrifying news about her estranged husband Josh. In a shocking turn that blindsided the entire family, news broke that Josh had been involved in a frightening accident, leaving Pumpkin in a whirlwind of panic and uncertainty. As details began to surface, the biggest question that immediately sent fans into a frenzy wasn't just about Josh's condition but about the whereabouts of the children, especially given the complicated split, the tense custody history, and the fragile emotional balance that Pumpkin has fought so hard to maintain. The moment Pumpkin received the call, insiders say she went pale, frozen in shock as she tried to process what she was hearing. The accident happened suddenly, without warning, in a way that threw every part of her life off course. For a woman who has spent years juggling motherhood, responsibility, and a relentless stream of family drama, this was the kind of news that shakes even the strongest foundation. As the realization sank in, fear took over, not just fear for Josh but fear for the children caught in the middle of everything. Those close to the family describe a frantic atmosphere that unfolded the moment the news reached Pumpkin. The initial details were murky, with no clear understanding of how serious the accident was or whether Josh was in immediate danger. Emergency responders had been called to the scene, and Pumpkin reportedly struggled to remain calm as she prepared to rush out the door and head toward the location. It was a moment no parent, no spouse, and no co-parent ever wants to face, the sudden, sickening worry that someone central to their children's lives might not be okay. But the fear didn't stop there. The next question, where were the kids, only heightened the urgency. Given the strained relationship between Pumpkin and Josh following their separation, the children's day-to-day routines had shifted, and the co-parenting dynamics were still in flux. The possibility that the children might have been with Josh at the time of the accident sent shockwaves of dread through everyone involved. Pumpkin's first instinct, insiders say, was sheer panic. She feared the worst before she had any confirmation. Were they in the car? Were they nearby? Were they safe? The unknowns multiplied by the second. Pumpkin has always been fiercely protective over her children. During the years when Mama June spiraled into addiction, court battles, financial turmoil, and upheavals that shattered every semblance of stability, Pumpkin became the rock of the family. She stepped up as a mother not only to her own kids but also to Alana, who needed a safe and stable environment. Those years carved resilience into Pumpkin's identity, but they also left scars that make any potential threat to her family feel like a direct reopening of old wounds. The moment she realized the accident might involve the children, she reportedly experienced a wave of emotional trauma reminiscent of the darkest days of her family's past. The timeline leading up to the accident adds another layer of complexity. Josh and Pumpkin had only recently begun navigating life apart after a relationship that endured high-pressure circumstances from both fame and personal struggles. Though they had separated, they were still co-parenting, trying to maintain a sense of balance for the kids. The emotional tension that comes with raising 4 young children, Alla, Bentley, Jayla, and Silas, was already stretching the family thin. The sudden accident threw all plans, arrangements, and assumptions into disarray. Inside sources claim that Pumpkin immediately attempted to contact Josh multiple times after receiving the terrifying call, but the phone went unanswered, only worsening her panic. The uncertainty of his condition mixed with the uncertainty of the children's safety became overwhelming. She reportedly tried contacting other family members or any piece of information that could guide her through the chaos. But when accidents strike out of nowhere, information is never fast enough for the people who need it most. The Shannon family, already dealing with an exhausting number of emotional hits in recent years, was once again thrown into crisis mode. Mama June, who has been working tirelessly to repair relationships after years of fractured connections, reportedly panicked upon hearing the news. For June, whose family has endured loss, separation, health battles, and trauma, anything involving her grandchildren magnifies her anxiety. She has already lived through the devastating loss of her daughter Anna, and the emotional residue of that tragedy lingers in every medical scare, every unexpected phone call, every moment when her family's safety hangs in the balance. Hearing that her son-in-law had been in an accident, and that the kids might be involved, sent her spiraling into frantic concern. Alana, who considers Pumpkin's children her own siblings rather than nieces and nephews, was reportedly emotionally shaken by the news. She has formed incredibly strong bonds with the kids, especially after living under Pumpkin's care for years. To her, the thought of them being anywhere near danger was unbearable. Friends say she immediately shut down emotionally, fearing the worst outcomes even before details emerged. For Alana, who is already navigating the fragile transition into adulthood, grappling with school, independence, relationships, and the shadow of her family's chaotic reality, this new crisis felt like another reminder that normalcy may forever be elusive. Jessica and other extended family members were also said to be scrambling for updates. The Shannon family's complicated dynamics and history of trauma make medical emergencies far more triggering than they might be for the average household. They have endured hospital visits that ended in heartbreak, emergencies that became turning points in their lives, and crises that forced them to reassess everything. This new accident involving Josh opened the floodgates to all those fears once again. As the hours passed, fragments of information began to surface. Josh had indeed been in a serious accident, one that required immediate medical attention. The extent of his injuries was not initially clear, but emergency responders confirmed he had survived the impact. This news provided a sliver of relief for Pumpkin, but the mystery surrounding the children's whereabouts remained the most pressing issue. People close to the family eventually confirmed that the children were not in the vehicle at the time of the accident. They were safe. But the tension and emotional damage had already taken their toll on Pumpkin, who had spent hours believing her children might have been involved in something catastrophic. The relief, though overwhelming, came with another emotional crash. Pumpkin reportedly broke down in tears when she learned the kids were safe. The release of that fear, after hours of imagining the worst-case scenario, left her emotionally drained and physically shaken. But her relief was also paired with a flood of anger. Anger at the lack of immediate communication, anger at the unpredictability of co-parenting after a breakup, anger at the thought of how easily her children's lives could have been endangered. As the day went on, more details emerged about Josh's condition. While the full extent of his injuries remains private, it is believed that he is recovering under medical supervision. The accident was severe enough to send shockwaves through the family, but not enough to result in life-threatening consequences. Even so, the emotional aftermath has been significant. For Pumpkin, who has been trying to rebuild her life after separating from Josh, the accident created an emotional conflict she was not prepared to confront. Her concerns for his health, her fears for the kids, and the resurfacing of old emotions collided in a way that has left her overwhelmed and reflective. Co-parenting after separation is never easy, but when emergencies like this strike, it exposes the fragile seams that hold everything together. Pumpkin has been trying to move forward, embracing independence, focusing on her children, and redefining who she is outside of the relationship. But Josh's accident forced her to confront the harsh reality that no matter how separated their lives become, they will always be connected because of their children. And with that connection comes the emotional responsibility of reacting to his crises, even when they come at the worst possible times. For fans watching from the outside, the incident has sparked intense discussions across social media platforms. Supporters have expressed concern for Pumpkin's emotional state, admiration for her strength, and fear of how such a crisis might impact her already heavy load. Many have pointed out that Pumpkin has endured more stress in a decade than most people experience in their entire lives. Others have expressed sympathy for Josh, acknowledging that despite the couple's separation, he remains an important part of the children's lives and deserves healing and support. As the dust settles from the accident, questions remain about how this incident will shape the family moving forward. Will the accident prompt a shift in the co-parenting dynamics? Will it force Pumpkin and Josh to reassess their communication strategies? Will the emotional strain deepen the distance between them or encourage a more peaceful, cooperative relationship? These questions linger as the family processes the aftermath. One thing is certain: Pumpkin's role as the protector of her children has never been more evident. She rose to the occasion the moment she feared her kids were at risk, dropping everything and entering crisis mode without hesitation. Her strength, resilience, and maternal instinct continue to drive her actions, even when life throws terrifying curveballs. In the world of Mama June, where chaos often seems to be the default setting, this incident is another stark reminder of how quickly life can shift from mundane to catastrophic. The accident involving Josh has rattled the entire family, reopening emotional wounds and reminding them of the fragility of everything they hold dear. But it has also highlighted the one thing that truly anchors the Shannon family through every storm: their fierce, unbreakable commitment to protecting the children. When emergencies strike, drama disappears, grudges fade, and disagreements fall silent. What remains is family, flawed, complicated, chaotic, but deeply connected.